Aloha, Shamans, and welcome to our little corner of the galaxy here in Greensboro, North Carolina, United States of America. Today is December 5th, 2025, and we're here with the journey of grief and Aloha consciousness. And our special shaman minister, cyberspace guru, Evangeline Hemrick is here. Thank you so much, Evangeline, for joining us. Let me give you an applause from cyberspace. Thank you so very much. And Evangeline does so much in our local community and also in cyberspace. She is a shaman, interfaith minister, podcaster. We just had a recent web seminar, was wonderful, Between the Worlds. And then you're an author, energy healer, a shamanic life coach. My goodness, all sorts of things. You've and with your books, you've got 2 books now under your belt, so you've grounded that energy, and now you're all over cyberspace. So she's not hard to find, but just in case you can't, I've got the links in the show notes. So thank you, Evangeline, for being here today. Did I miss anything that you want folks to know about?
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Oh, wonderful. Good. And we're continuing our grief series with Aloha Consciousness because Evangeline, of course, is an Aloha Consciousness shaman. And also, she is a teacher of death doula training. So, and those who aren't familiar with that, doula is just an old word just for servant. So think of, how midwives were actually in service to people. Think of death doulas. They're in service to people who are ready to make a transition. And this is not only for the person themselves, but also in particular the family members. So it's a wonderful experience. And she has a wonderful program with that. And you're getting ready to launch the new program in January, right?
Yes, sir. We're excited about it.
That'll be wonderful. And we'll talk a little more about that after the show. All right, so let's get right into what we're doing. Let me pull our slides up. And we'll go through that. So here we are with Shamanic Life Coaching, Aloha Consciousness, the Journey of Grief. Okay, beautiful pictures of Miss Evangeline. That's a recent picture we just took at your home. So thank you for inviting us over for that. Good. And we are EarthStar Spiritual Center here in Greensboro, North Carolina. So we are a multi-faith church. We're living Aloha. So discovering our wholeness. Been doing this since 2002. Okay? And you see on the left-hand side there, you see our acronym for our core beliefs or principles, and as it Aloha, and that stands for all loving God, love, oneness, heart path, and as above, so below. So thank you for joining us here today, and especially thank you to those who are going to also see us on replay. Okay? All right, so just a quick note about shamanic life coaching. Then, if we want to get a definition for that, it could be a positive action-oriented steps to achieve a goal or skill. Okay? And this is mind, body, and spirit. All right, so the journey of grief. So today, let's list some objectives we want to cover. One will be defining grief. The second will be assessing grief. And then creating acronyms for your feelings and thoughts. And these are the feelings and thoughts that you have right now because you have a new grief or a recent grief. And then also we want another acronym of grief about your future or your evolved or your healed grief. And we want to determine what is it going to take to move from these new feelings to the evolved healed feelings. Okay. All right, so let's do just a basic dictionary definition of what grief is then. We could say it's a bereavement, a deep distress or mourning after a death, loss of a loved one, involving physical and mental, emotional, psychological anguish or pain. Okay? Now, you notice I've got the word after underlined. That's because some people, when they're experiencing grief, they will experience grief even before something happens. So it's like they're already grieving grief. So you want to make sure that you're in that space. You know, the old saying, we don't want to borrow trouble, or we'll cross that bridge when we get to that. So we want to make sure that we're not actually creating grief when nothing's really happened yet. It's almost like with the fear principle. Most people fear things that haven't even happened. So make sure you're not in that camp of grieving grief. Okay. Also, a loss of a person, place, or thing. So anything that we have a love connection. So just think people who move because of a job, or maybe they just want to move to another house, another state, another country. They may have a little bit of grief about what they just left. Okay? And then also a thing. So by things, I'm specifically referring to like pets, right? People are very attached to these loving animals that we have with us. And so we certainly can experience some grief when we have a loss there. Okay? Now, and also feelings and thoughts of depression, a longing or separation from persons, places, or things. And again, this is in reference to jobs, pets, relationships, residences. Just think some people have grief when they change careers, or maybe they leave their office that they've been with, working with people for years on end, and then you move for some other reason. You may have some sense of grief about that. So Evangeline, anything as far as a textbook definition of grief, you want to add to that?
No, I think you've covered it. I love this topic, so I'm so honored to
Yes.
unpack this with you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Okay. All right. So now let's move on to assessing our choice points. Now, these are the three most common things that, as I do shamanic life coaching for people, and also I'm sure as Evangeline does this also with folks, and also in her Deaf Doula program, probably the three main things that people are going to feel with a new grief. So it's just now beginning. So the hurt is still there. Number one, remaining in a downward spiraling sadness or negative emotions. Number two, unable or unwilling to move into change and growth, because it's just not time. You just have to spend a little time with your recent loss. So that's quite understandable. And then number three is when this new grief happens, we start having the self-sabotaging efforts. We have a mindset to probably or mostly to punish ourselves because of the things we did not do or could have done better. Okay? So these are the main things, the three things that I've discovered that people have with a new grief that's in their life, some form of loss. Evangeline, any out of these three, any other ones that come to mind for you that most people will experience?
It can be, I think, where you and I have come to in our experiences is it can be such an up level, crack you wide open in your heart.
Yes.
That's the thing that I notice with the people that I work with. If they could just see that, and
Yes.
that's what you're doing, is helping people to see the hope in it as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yes. So we certainly want to interject that aloha consciousness. Yeah. And remember, just as a definition, if you're not sure what aloha means, to me, it just means love. And it certainly could mean harmony and peace and joy, but it really doesn't need another definition other than love. So, and we're talking about love and mind, body, and spirit, thoughts, words, and deeds, actions, and love to everyone, everything, everywhere, and every time, place, and space. So we're talking about love in any possible combination. So when I say aloha, that's what I mean with that. Okay. Good. All right. So now let's move to assessing these choice points. So we're going to have the one of the three main things that people go through. So you're going to see that in the little number one there. Remember, it was remaining in downward spiraling sadness or negative emotions. And then when we move to the larger print, let me just make this larger for you. You see that now we're talking about what could be the evolved or healing point. Okay. And in other words, we're shifting into a positive upward spiral of joyful possibilities. Aloha. Okay. So we're shifting into another gear of peace. So no longer in pain. We understood what's going on. We understood the transition, and we have finally come to a place of peace in our life. Okay? Another way to shift up into a positive aloha consciousness, realizing that life is eternal. We will be with our loved ones again, because remember, we're part of this wonderful soul family, and we're not going to move away from this soul family. If you can imagine this large diamond, Imagine if that diamond represents all of eternity. Well, our soul family, we're on that one facet of the diamond. So we could be there for millions of years learning from one another. Okay? And that's what we do. Okay? So that soul family, you're going to be around quite a bit, and you could just change titles. You could be the mother, father, brother, sister, lover. You could be a supervisor. You could be a co-worker, anything. Okay. So that soul family, you will be around, and we'll remember that. So you will be with your loved one. Okay? And then our loved one still lives in our heart. Remember, every time we have a memory, every time we have an emotion about that person or that pet or that thing or that place, that love is still being felt in our heart. So remember, they're not anywhere. They're simply just in another room. Okay? Or maybe they've just faded out of this particular dimension, but they're still here. And it's not necessarily that they can see you, because, they may be doing other things too. They may have moved on to do some things, but they're also going to have that heart connection. So every time they remember you, they feel that same love that you have for them. Okay? And let me blow this up again, because I have a nice quote here from Jonathan Carroll, an American author. I love this quote. Is my memory loves you and asks about you all the time. Okay, so my memory loves you and asks about you all the time. Okay. Wait, let me go back to my slide. So Evangeline, as we look at this, now we know that the new feelings may be a downward spiraling sadness, negative emotions, but here now we also have the possibility of aloha field feelings and thoughts, and that's shifting to a upward spiral, shifting to another gear of peace, and understanding that life is eternal. And every time we think or feel that loved one or place or thing, it's still here in our heart. So it's still very much in the present stage. Anything you want to add or thoughts about that?
I just remember you being my big brother in Hawaii, and
yes,
we were both male and we surfed together, and there was just like the best times and feelings and camaraderie. And I accessed all that in past life regression journeys. And if that doesn't free me up from like worrying about what's going to happen to this vessel, because those physical vessels obviously died.
Yes.
And here we are. We still love each other. We're still connected. It's just so liberating to know those things.
Yes. It's wonderful to know we've been around quite a while. And, and to add to that, where Evangeline, where her and her family lived there in Maui, when Jeannie and I went to Maui, we bought a timeshare there and still have it, of course. Well, that timeshare, it's like 5 miles from where Evangeline and her family lived. So it's like, oh my goodness. I mean, those connections, we didn't even know that. And then when we found out, we thought that is just wonderful to have that particular connection in that way, and to think that was only 5 miles apart. I mean, some way, somehow, we just knew that. Okay, so yes, you will be with your loved ones in the past, and you will be with your loved ones in the future. Okay, good. All right, outstanding. All right, let's look at the second one now. So remember, the new thoughts of that is unable or unwilling to move into change or growth. And now when we think about the healed or the evolved possibilities with Aloha consciousness, that's having a self-motivating mindset or a heart set to embrace the change and the growth for opportunities of life and joy. So being Aloha, so being aware of the love, the kindness that you're able to see, that you're able to hear, you're able to feel and sense, and to know that that is still around you. And we don't want to negate those things as they come into our life. Because, once you open up just a little bit, the universe will just allow that to be a floodgate of these wonderful, positive, aloha-filled moments to be shared with you. So make sure you're open to that, and make sure you're not so closed off. You're not, in your mind, you're not sitting around in a fetal position, just curled up, and you don't want to embrace the world or be part of anything anymore. Remember, you're a special eternal being. And when it's time for you to be back on the market, so to speak, we want to make sure that you motivate yourself to realize the love has been there all around. Okay? And then setting new goals and ideas. So again, when you do that, you're starting to create space, allowing this love to re-enter and to realign yourself with the new love that comes in, because it may come in many different forms, and it may come in from many, many different people and places and things. So we want to be open to that. And then honoring yourself to live and love again. And that's in reference to people, places, and things. You know, you're a very special, eternal being. You know, you have always been somewhere. You're here now, and you will be somewhere in the future. And so just know that you are this divine being. You're awesome, beautiful, and perfect. And so honor that part of you and allow yourself to share that wonderful love, that essence of who you are. Because remember, you are still a puzzle piece on this great puzzle of life. And if you ever look at a puzzle and you see a piece missing out of it, it's just something about the energy of that. It's not whole anymore. So make sure you allow yourself to be part of humanity, be part of a reality again, so that our puzzle can be whole. Okay? And then, of course, being attentive to opportunities, because now you get a chance to make new memories. You get to expand the love and the light that's within you and all around you. Everything that's above, below, within, and without. So we want to make sure you realize you're a very special person. And that way you can share your light and love with the rest of the world. If nothing else, helping other people who have had grief challenges or opportunities, helping them to deal with it in an Aloha conscious way. Okay? Now, one of my motivational speakers here, Zig Ziglar, he's got a great quote too. You don't drown by falling out of the boat. You drown by staying in the water. So we don't want to be in this water of grief all of our life. Remember, we want to get out of the water, back into the boat. So keep in mind that grief is a journey. We have a beginning, we have the middle part where we're working that journey, but we also have an ending part of the journey. Now, that's not the end of all our journeys. That just means the next step, the next breath, the next heartbeat is the beginning of a new journey. So we want to be ready for that new journey as we learn and grow from this one. So Evangeline, anything with this second one, anything you'd like to add or just emphasize any of those comments?
Yes, I like these. My mom sent a card that I kept when my soul dog, when Shanti crossed over. Mom sent me a card that said, grow through what you go through. Yes. And I had to keep it because it's exactly what you're teaching here. Anything can be an up level or it can take us down, and we get to choose which way is any experience that we have is that pivotal moment of which way do you want to go with it.
Yes, exactly. All right, because we get to choose whether we go up or down, left or right, or we just stay still. So that's very important. You have the power to do that. Okay? So remember, choose to continue to grow and to continue to be loved some way, somehow, because we don't want to stay in that water. Okay? We want to get back in that boat. All right, and then the third one. Now we have the beginning stages or the new grief feelings, and that could be its very self-sabotaging efforts or mindset to punish oneself. Okay? And we certainly don't want to be there. All right, so let's look at what the uplifted or the evolved pattern could be. Once we've healed and realigned. Okay, so we're realigning with God and wholeness of love and life. Remember the Aloha, like our Aloha acronym for EarthStar is all loving creator, love, oneness, walking the heart path, and as above, so below. So one of the key things to do here is make sure we forgive ourselves for the actions and the reactions. All right, so let me offer a perspective on this forgiveness thing. Because those of you who may have been in, let's say the established churches or religions around, we kind of received this lesson about forgiveness, but we only received half the lesson. I'm not sure why that is, but nevertheless, we did. Okay? So here's the full lesson about forgiveness. Okay? Now, we're taught in these other works, these scriptures and things, we have to forgive other people for what they did. Well, let's think of it as being the life you now have. Let's say it's a movie, and you are the executive producer, you're the producer, you're the writer, you're director, and most importantly, you're the casting director. So this movie you call your life, you have casted or asked all these actors, these people to be in your life. Now, granted, some of these folks, they had Academy Award performances. They may have been a thorn in your side, or they may have been the best thing since melted butter, right? I mean, they were either good or they were so bad that they taught you so many wonderful lessons, bad in the sense of good. They taught you so many wonderful lessons through these challenges. But remember, you've asked them to be in your life. So how can you go around forgiving someone when you're the one that invited them to your party to begin with? So the forgiveness then has to come towards yourself. So forgive yourself for the way you acted and reacted. Now, what do we do with these other people? Well, we simply just bless them, because that way we clear and bless their participation with love. We bless them. We thank them for being involved in our life and for doing such a bang-up job of teaching us all these wonderful lessons, good, bad, wholeness, everything, okay? Because that's why we ask them to be here. So we don't have to worry about forgiving other people. All you have to do is worry about forgiving yourself, okay? So bless other people, love them, thank them, and you don't have to do this in person. You could do this through prayer or just imagining them in your mind and just saying thank you for being the best thing to help me to learn this lesson. But make sure you forgive yourself for the way you acted and the way you reacted, okay? Good. And make sure you understand too, is that the reason why you acted and reacted a certain way, is that part of some sort of inner work or shadow work that's within you, and that's something else you may want to explore to help root that out. Okay? All right, another one, healing. We also often hear that time heals all wounds. So how long is it that you're going to take to be at a point of recovery? Are we going to be doing this for so long that you actually develop a habit of grieving? And then it becomes even tougher to get out of that. Remember when I spoke earlier about grieving grief. And remember, like Zig Ziglar said, we want to get out of the water. We got to get back into the boat. Okay? So make sure we have some sort of goal of when you want this to be done. And I know when it's new, you're thinking, oh, this is going to take such a long time. Well, remember, that's going to be up to you. You know, a lot of cultures we know, they say to take at least 1 year of mourning. I mean, that's a pretty good time, 1 year. That's probably a good time not to make any big life decisions like moving, throwing things away, things like that. You may want to wait that long, but just make sure that you do have an end point. Remember, this is called the journey of grief. So all journeys come to an end. That's because a next journey begins. Okay. And then love is the alignment. So remember, we want to stay aligned or realign with a new definition of love, or aloha. Okay? So see, hear, and feel the love in everyone, everything, and everywhere. And that way we will get to this dimensional point where we can actually be love with everyone, everything, everywhere. We can be love in mind, body, and spirit, and every thought, every word, every action. And that's through everyone and every place. Okay? Let me blow the screen up here because I've got a quote here from Amelia Earhart. The most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. Okay? Amelia Earhart. So the most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. Okay? All right, Evangeline, anything with that third one here about realigning and aligning yourself with love and aloha, and that big one about, that forgiving oneself, that's a big one. Okay?
It is. And this is all just reprogramming the supercomputer, right? Just neuroscience, biohacking. And I like that. I like pattern interrupt and seeing and observing ourselves when we go into particular patterns and habits and going, I can reprogram the computer.
Yes, indeed. That's right. Because remember, as the Ohuna or the Hawaiian shamanic teaching shows us, or has taught us, remember, everything's a dream. Everyone is dreaming. And the big thing is we can change the dream at any time. So remember, you can change the dream. So if there's anything you don't like in your life, simply change it. do some sort of action that will change it and realign your priorities to make this new you. Okay? It sounds very simple. We just have to do it because otherwise you're going to stay in that same water format. And remember, Zig Ziglar invites us to get out of that water and get back into the boat. Okay? All right, wonderful. Now that we've examined that, and now for those in the audience, if we'll just pull out a piece of paper. And now we want to work on some acronyms. And we're going to use the word grief, of course. So GRIENF. Now, on this slide here, these are some of the words that most of the folks that I've done shamanic life coaching with in reference to this, these are probably, or not probably, they are the most common responses when I have them work on this sheet. So with G, it's a gloom or doom, glum. Guilt is probably the big one on that one. Okay. And remember, this is for new thoughts. This is for a recent grief that you had, or maybe you remember this is how you used to feel when you had a recent grief. R, a big one there is regret. That's probably the biggest one for the R, but also remorse and then repentance. So repentance in the sense that people feel like there has to be some sort of atonement for how they acted or how they reacted, right? Yeah. And then I is incompetent, inept. The big one here is the insulting, and that's the insulting towards self, because this is when folks are in that, well, there's things I could have done, things I should have done, and maybe would have done. So remember, you want to make sure that you understand, you've already gone through this process. So as you look back at how those feelings were at the very beginning, they were very raw. They were very new. So imagine then you're a fifth grader. Well, are you going to judge yourself for being a first grader? Because, you can't be a first grader with fifth grader thinking, because you're not there yet. So if you're in the fifth grade, make sure you don't think about yourself in the first grade and wishing that you should have done this or done that, because there's no way you could have. You did the best you could. Okay? So allow yourself some grace for that. Okay? And then E is emotions, excuses, exhaustion. Exhaustion is a big one, especially if you are in a caretaking mode, caregiving mode. This could have been for months on end, or maybe for some of it could have been years. So you're just simply exhausted, and you have to have some rest. Okay? So just remember, that's perfectly normal. So get your rest. F is failure, fault, and fear. Failure, again, kind of goes along with the insulting. You wish you could have done some stuff. So did I really fail at my caregiving? Was I taking energy instead of giving energy when I could have? Finding fault in things you did. And also that fear of what's going to happen, because, the person's already made transition and they're going through their own life review also. So make sure we don't use fear. Remember, fear is a future feeling. Fear is something that hasn't happened yet. Okay? Future expectations about reality, if you want an acronym for that. So future expectations about reality. So it hasn't even happened yet, and we're all already fearing. Okay. Now, these are some of the words that I've come to use, and Evangeline, we've discussed this too, and she's found these to be some of the more common words that she's come across. So now you can either use these words, or let me just offer you another word. So here on your sheet of paper, then, go ahead, for those of you who are at home or reviewing this, go ahead and start writing what are some of the words that come up when you think about this new or beginning grief that you're going through. What are some of the feelings and thoughts, as far as starting with a G, or R, I, E, or F? And just go ahead and just jot those down. Evangeline, did you have any other words other than the ones I had up?
I just want to say there's a theme with each one of those that you brought up for this acronym.
Yes.
It's that negativity bias that fascinates me, which Huna masters and people who follow the Huna liberation do not fall into that, because they know they have to pattern interrupt. Yes. There can be like a million sweet, loving, wonderful things you did with a loved one, and when they pass, what are you going to have in vivid technicolor detail? Like, what's going to easily by default run through your mind? That one time you were impatient or not so kind or whatever. And I just find that fascinating to watch that and go, wow, that's like having a buffet of 99 items of food that you just absolutely love. And there's one thing on the buffet that you don't like, and you just like focus on that. Yep. It's very human. There's no reason to judge it, but we can shift it when we observe it, which is really wonderful. And they all fall into that, every single one of these.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Because you certainly can't define your life by one event, by one thing that happened. And, it may have just been something that lasted just an hour. So you don't want to define your whole life by one thing that you did. That was a lesson. So use that lesson and build upon it. And I love that word that, what'd you say? Pattern. What was it? Pattern
interrupt.
Yes. Pattern interrupt. Wonderful. That's really a reset, right? Or you're redreaming. So redreaming, reset, realign, pattern interrupt. Wonderful words. That changed your focus. And remember, energy flows where focus goes. So change that energy. And hopefully we can get to that point where we have an evolved or healed aspect. Okay. All right. So now you've got the words that you're going to use to help to describe these new feelings, these beginning feelings. And then and you can go ahead and pause the tape if you're watching this on review. Okay. And now let's go to thinking about the evolved or healed feelings and thoughts. And this is after you've had this established time that you decide you're going to have. And this is what you're going to come up with. So these are some of the words that Evangeline and I have used in our shamanic life coaching with folks. So G is going to be the gentleness, goals, grace. Remember, new goals, that is the new reset. That is the repatterning, right? That is the pattern. What was it? What did you say, Evangeline? Pattern interrupt. That's the word. Pattern interrupt, right? So this is the redreaming, the resetting, the realignment with our new goals. And make sure you give yourself grace. Grace to everything, because everything is a lesson. Okay? Even a lesson in the ones who are no longer with us right now, whether it's a person, place, or thing. But remember the eternal nature of life. We're on that one little facet of the diamond. We're going to be with each other for quite a while. Okay? R is realignment. So realign to this new you. Okay? This remembrance. Remembering the wonderful things you did. Okay, just not focusing on those negative things that want to define you. How about let's define your life by all the wonderful things you did, the celebrations, the good times. Allow that to be the filter through how you watch things from the past, present, and future. And then also when we do that, we're going to have this renewal. Because remember, you're no longer that person at the beginning. You're no longer in the first grade. You're now in the 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Your high school, your college, or post-college work. You've grown that much. That's the new you. We're dealing with incredible insights that you now have and that you will have. The inspiration to be that aloha wherever you are. And then, of course, you've developed this intuition. Because remember, you've grown from this experience. You've dealt with life and death on a 3D level, and you've come to this wonderful healed point, this evolved point, where you realize that life is truly eternal, and you will be with those people and pets again. Okay? E, of course, eternal, evolving, excitement. Be excited about being the new you. Be excited about being with that loved one at some other point in time. And remember, we don't have to wait to a future time. All we have to do is just think about them, feel them, think about them in our mind, feel them in our hearts, and we are with them. We're always with them as much as you want to be. Okay? And then F, of course, is we change our focus. Like I said, energy flows where focus goes. Wonderful Huna principle. Okay? And forgiveness, of course. Forgiving yourself, okay, for how you acted, reacted, for all the woulda, coulda, shoulda things. Remember, you did the best you could. And once you do that, you're going to find that there's a newfound freedom in this new repattering, this pattern interrupt, this reset, this realignment, this redreaming. There's incredible freedom with that, because once all this is evolved and once this is healed, with love, with aloha, that's where all this wonderful freedom and opportunities start to just not only be magnetized to you, but allows you these new choices in life in which to celebrate who you are and to be able to share that love once again. Okay. Let me show up. So the next screen, then what you would do is those who are watching, go ahead and make a second sheet of paper. And these will be your evolved or healed feelings and thoughts. Okay. So you're going to have one sheet with the new thoughts, the new beginning thoughts and feelings about grief. And then your other sheet will contain words that describe an evolved or healed feelings and thoughts. And even if you are not presently in this state, I want you to think about how you wish to be in this state, whatever time frame that's going to be. Okay. All right, Evangeline. So as you look at this list, anything else come to mind about that or any other insights with this?
Yeah, on the G part, I think of that highest frequency of gratitude. Yes. And how it cracks you. It can really just crack you wide open, put you in your heart when you are experiencing grief. And then you can take it to that high frequency state of what you want to be thankful and grateful for. And then the thing that I love to do to anchor in when you start doing the coulda, woulda, shouldas, right? How to repattern that and anchor that is every time you have that regret to the realignment. When I'm getting into R, it's like, I'm starting to feel this feeling because I remember I wish I'd done this differently, or I'm remembering a sad moment. Okay, this is my moment. I can reach out and do something totally new and love somebody. I can reach out and care for someone. And like you said, do you remember you gave me the greatest gift when you helped me with Dad and showing me that he and I were so close I couldn't feel him. Remember that?
Yes, I remember.
I was like, I don't feel him, and I'm getting so frustrated because I can feel everybody's loved ones when they cross over and like tell them all these things and messages from the other side with my clients and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I got nothing. Like, where is he? Like, why? It's not like I don't have those gifts to connect to people on the other side, but nope, with Dad, it was crickets. And you just gave me this different perspective and focus to look through a different lens that he was so close to me. I couldn't even tell where he ended and I began.
Yeah, exactly. It was almost like, a habit. You don't realize you do this habit. Oh, you and your dad were so connected, so close. I mean, truly were split apart. And it's almost like you had to get all the guides and angels out of the room so you could only just feel him. And then when he came into the room, it was like, that's the feeling, but I feel that all the time. So that's why it was hard to distinguish. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it was a beautiful gift. And you guys watching, Dad came in like this galactic party. He was like, hey, he was coming in with like his whole entourage, and he separated enough from me that I could feel the difference because Dale asked him to. Dale was like, could you please just back up enough that she could feel the differentiation, And the other thing too, I love how you have intuition in there and evolving for that matter, because this is an opportunity to increase your psychic gifts, to develop your intuition. When you go through a loss that opens up your heart center, your superpowers, your clairs can really come online. I see it happen all the time.
Oh, yes, that's wonderful. Yes, that intuition will kick in because remember, you develop this heart sense about you now. And when you add that heart sense, that wonderful intuitive power of being connected, yes, things will just magically happen. And the good thing about that is, like Zig Ziglar said, you just got to get out of the water, got to get back into the boat and live life once again. Once we get to this evolved and healed state of being. So, so wonderful with that. And it's funny with your dad. Even as he went to this new dimension, he was still a Gemini. Had all these people with him. Goodness. So that's great. So those of you who like astrology, just know you may still be the same thing when you leave and you go off into the spirit world. Okay, wonderful. All right, so excellent. So for all of you then that are watching, make sure you have the 2 sheets of paper. One, remember, will be your new or beginning feelings, and the other sheet of paper will be your evolved or healed feelings. Okay, and remember, this second sheet, that could be an evolving sheet also. So just write down some initial things, and then just periodically just go back to it every now and then until you reach that place that you're healed. Because remember, you will be able to be a teacher to people that are going through this grief process. And because you've had this personal challenge, and you never know that one thing you may say to someone, it will totally realign them. It'll truly be a pattern interrupt. They will be able to repattern the way they think and the way they feel. So just keep in mind, you have a wonderful potential ahead to be a teacher for this. Okay? Now, we talked about the time earlier. So you decide, or what will need to happen to allow you to move from this beginning and new grief to the evolved, healed wellness. So how long is that going to take? You know, a lot of people are going to give you advice. We talked earlier about a lot of cultures say, you know, a 1-year period of mourning. You know, it reminds me of, you remember that movie Dances with Wolves? And remember the white lady that was living there with the Sioux Indian? And I remember she was trying to cut herself up, and Kevin Costner came along and found her. Well, you know, Kevin Costner and her, you know, stands with fist. I believe that was her name. So, you know, they fell in love. And then the medicine man or her adopted father, he came by one day because, you know, the medicine man's wife, she told him, look, they're in love. They need to do something. So then the medicine man came up to her and goes, okay, you're not in mourning anymore. So it's like she had carte blanche then. She could fall in love. And of course, in the movie, about a day or two later, they got married. So there you have a culture that have established reasons for that. You know, some people, you know, you may want to have to wear black for a year, or you can't go out, can't do that. So you decide what that is, but just keep in mind, it is a journey. There was a beginning, there's a middle, and there will be an end, but it's not an end to life. That means there's an end to that journey, because the next heartbeat, the next breath, the next step is now your new energy or your new journey. And that journey is now based upon everything that's been repatterned, realigned, reset. This pattern interrupt has happened, and now you're that new, evolved, renewed person. So again, you decide what that is, but please get out of that water, get back in the boat, and recognize that you are a loving being. You're a wonderful being of light. And remember, you're that puzzle piece. And we want you to come back into the fold so that our puzzle of wholeness will be with us again. Okay. Anything with that, Evangeline?
I love all of that. And I have so much I want to say about, you touched on astrology, and I want to say some things wherever it's good to insert about some really cool secrets that I've uncovered that give a lot of hope about the ongoing connection, the ongoing way our parents can teach us even when they're gone. So, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. All right, good. All right, good. So remember, what we went over then, we defined what grief is. We assess grief from the new standpoint and also from the evolved standpoint. And then by the same token, that's why we created 2 sheets of paper, one for those new feelings and thoughts, and then one for the evolved, healed thoughts. And then remember, you're going to decide what's going to take to go from this new sheet to the new sheet of what grief means to me as far as being healed. Okay. All right. Wonderful. All right. Back on the big screen then. Anything you want to add with that, Evangeline, with the astrology? You want to do that now? Or is that something people are going to have to attend your class to come to? That'd be wonderful, right?
I'll be happy to tell them. I've been an astrology nerd for a really long time and studying human design in depth since 2009. And there's these specific attributes that we are given, our little superpowers or big superpowers, it just depends, from our mom and dad. And you can look at your human design template and you can see astrologically what your dad gave you, what your mom gave you. But what has been very fascinating to me now that I've been really studying the clients I work with for long enough, there is an activation that happens once that parent crosses over. And I have not learned this anywhere in my human design studies. I've just been doing it long enough that I see it. There's this little like button, just boop, it turns on that trait, that ability even more. So I love the idea, concept, empowerment that our parents are even teaching us from beyond. They're making us better.
Yes.
After they cross over. And so there's so much room for hope and excitement about what's to come. What can we develop and strengthen in ourselves that we haven't even tapped into yet, that we can access through them, whether they're on the other side or here.
Yes, exactly. And that's why, we encourage people, make sure you get back in that boat of life. Make sure you share your beautiful, beautiful heart and love and light, because you have so much to offer. Not only to yourself in that state, but also, you're this beam of light that you're going to shine. And there's so many people out here that you can help to heal, that you can, if nothing else, with a smile, okay, or with a hello. So make sure you allow that bit of your heart to explore life again after we've reached this healed, evolved stage of grief. Okay? And remember, it's a journey. That's so important. It is a journey. So that means there is an ending to this part, because there's another journey you'll go on, the next heartbeat, the next breath, the next step. And that's going to be the journey of the new you, the renewed you. Okay, good. All right. So I've got Evangeline's website crawling across the bottom. And also I've got her contact info in the show notes. So make sure you give that a look. Also, I'm going to add her Amazon books on there also, because, she is an author. So remember, she's grounded some energy here on Mother Earth in the written word. And again, she's all over the cyberspace and every portal I can imagine. So, but Evangeline, you've got something coming up in January, because we just did this wonderful Between Worlds Summit back the first part of November. And you brought together all these folks talking about the death doula process, places where people can actually create homes, the different perspectives of death and crossover, the healing aspect, the joy aspect of all that, bringing all that Aloha consciousness in. And that's available also on replay if you'd like to sign up for that. So you've got that option, and also the new school you're going to have starting in January. So do you have some time? I know you've got some folks coming in, you got lots of things to do. So if you can, just let the audience know what that is.
Oh, yes. Well, we had quite a magical experience in that Between Worlds Summit. And how that all came about is I did this summit. I was a participant in this summit about water, because I am just fascinated with the spiritual and physical healing aspects of water. And it's one of my missions here is to help the waters and heal the water. So when there was this couple-day summit with all of these different experts on different topics of water, I found myself learning so much and enjoying so much on the participant side that I was like, if I was to ever do one of these, it would be on end-of-life care, near-death experiences, and just that thinning of the veil. Because you guys, like, now that we're in Age of Aquarius, there is no veil anymore. It's just the density is just gone, and you can have all these connections and never feel alone, and know that love is there for you. The help is there for you. It doesn't matter if they're in physical form or not. So that's what I wanted to do. But the way that the whole thing came about was just so bespoken and aligned. So if you all haven't checked it out, Dale's presentation is brilliant. And I learned so much from all 15 of the other presenters other than myself. I would find myself just sitting there like, wow. And so many of the folks that were presenting were guest teachers in my death doula program. And so when my partner, Teresa Blemmings, came on to give her hospice nurse side of it, we've just made this really sweet mentorship 8-week program for people who want to do everything we're just sitting here talking about, help other people, with all the things that we're sitting here talking about.
That's going to be online, right? So they'll be able to do the modules at their pace.
Yeah, they have the modules at their pace, which is what I offered before. Like when Teresa took my course, which is how we met, she took my death doula course. So my modules were all online. It was all self-paced. But now that she came in and she added so much, I mean, it's like doubled in size, my course has now. But there's something to be said for the live hold you and give you that support all along the way. Not everyone learns through self-paced just online. I love that. I love a self-paced course where 3 a.m. I can be learning whatever, but there's definitely like a start date, which is January 5th, and a stop date, February 28th. Now that I've been teaching online courses for 5 years, I've really tried a lot of different things and found out what works best is to just hold a container and say, it's just 8 weeks. Just take 8 weeks and let us mentor you. Let us shepherd you in this process. And we got you. We can give you all these tools and all these skills, and we can give you the support, because death work, being a grief tender and being a death doula, I think it's just such important work, and you got to have that support all along the way.
And it's such a valuable experience to share with people, to be able to have a gift to help people to make this transition to this new bit of energy, wherever we're going to go. It's a wonderful time to be there, and especially to give the family this type of ceremony and ritual to help them with that process of moving along. Oh, it's a wonderful, loving way to share life with humanity. And also with now this applies to people that have pets that have also passed on, right?
For sure. Yeah. And some people just want to go into a specific niche like that, of like death doula for animals. You think of the human family when they lose an animal. They need someone to hold space for them. And Dale, everything that you teach through teaching people how to be their own shaman and to be able to walk in a space and be like, I got this. I'm bringing the love. I'm creating love where love is absent, enhancing love where love is present. That is mission critical when people don't really know how to go through transition.
Yes.
And I don't know if you know this, but my death doula program came out of the Shamanic ministry ordination program.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought I was just making a whole priestess ordination program, and I was like building out this online course, and everybody that was inquiring about it were like, well, yeah, I don't really care about the marrying people and baby things or house clearing. I was like, really? And they were all just wanting the death support work, and it was just a big need to fill at that time.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, because I know a lot of people have asked, well, don't you have to be ordained to do this as a minister? So no, you don't have to be. But if you want to be ordained, then Evangeline can certainly arrange that also. Okay. That's also one of her wonderful ministries, to help ordain ministers and also to help you to create your own ministry some way, somehow. So, thank you so much, Evangeline. And remember, just go to the show notes, or if you can write down her website going across there. She has all that info on her website. And that would be wonderful to share that way. And that way people can write to it and find out all the stuff about the Between the Worlds webinar we had in November, and also for your January class that's coming up. Okay. Any other part? And thank you so much for being here, Evangeline. Thank you so much. Pause from the audience. Thank you so much. Anything else? Any parting thoughts you want to leave folks, or other than have a happy holiday?
The notes I love how you've structured this to give action steps that people can go away and work with. And I love that it's going to be evolving. Their new acronym, the more they go through, the more loss and magic that they go through, because we can look at it as loss, or you can look at how it's going to activate you and develop your gifts and your connections with the other side. But those notes, you guys, go back and continually update and refine, and definitely let me know how I can ever help. I love to talk about all this.
Yeah, keep those lists out. So whenever you're walking through the house or wherever you are, word will pop in your mind. Go ahead and add that to the acronym. That's wonderful. All right, well, we'll have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thanks for taking some time to help do this, because now we've come to the queen of the doula programming. And so make sure you sign up, go on the website, check the show notes, and have a wonderful time healing and loving people, and especially being the love and the aloha in every moment. Okay. All right. Well, let's do a pow, and then we'll let you go anyway. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Pow! Wonderful. Thanks for being here. Aloha, Evangeline.
Aloha.